Hi, everyone. It's Erin
And John.
from Progressive Plants, and we're here today to show you an example of a mature park strip that was planted. I planned this park strip, and we planted it 3 years ago now. And there are some fun things about this park strip that John and I want to point out to you guys, and maybe answer some of your questions about park strips, and after that initial planting, what things look like, and how things develop over the years, so you can anticipate this beautiful type of park strip.
Right.
So, I don't have as much experience with this park strip as you do.
Yeah, so I can start, and then Mike, we could just jump in if there's any questions or anything you think is cool. So, the one thing about this park strip is that we have sun and we have a little bit of shade. So we had to pick a plant palette that would work in both of those situations. This was all on beforehand, and so the customer wanted something simple, a repeating pattern, but something that would give her color and foliage and blooms throughout the season.
Yeah, this does that beautifully.
Yeah, so the first thing that we tackled was taking out all of the grass, like we've talked about before, and really getting this mulch to as close to the 4 inches that we could. That's key. There is no weed barrier under this. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can believe it now, but a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, so most people feel like you have to have the weed barrier to have a weedless park strip, but actually, weed barrier is really detrimental to the natural ecosystem of our soil. And if we can find ways to prevent weeds more naturally and more beneficial to the plants in this park strip, that's what we like to do.
Exactly. Weed cloth will choke the oxygen away from the roots, and also it prevents all this beautiful mulch from being incorporated into the soil. So if we can avoid that, let's do it.
Exactly. Let those worms eat the really great stuff from this mulch. So you can see that I've pulled away the mulch here to show how deep it is. You also talked about the barrier.
Yeah, I love that we have this metal edging here because that allows you to get that depth of mulch you want without digging so much. That way, when you fill your mulch up, it doesn't bleed onto your sidewalk. And if you have a heavy rain, it isn't going to wash it out because that edging will act as a barrier for the water as well. So, that's a beautiful solution.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're laying your mulch, you want to lay your finer mulch. So something like soil pep or whatever you're deciding for your finer mulch that's going to start to break up that hard soil first. And then if you're worried about things blowing away, you're going to put the heavier, bigger chunk mulch on top of that lighter mulch. So you can see we've pulled away, and we really are close to that 4 inches. John will get some close-ups of this. And we've got all the watering system set up underneath this mulch as well. We'll get some close-ups of that. So the 4 inches of mulch is going to do a lot for you. It really is, I would say, probably one of the most important parts.
I would think so, yeah.
Of the park strip.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we're in the middle of August, and you can see that the plants still look really beautiful. And I think, or a lot of people think that it's the leaves, when the leaves are getting hot and scorched, that's what's making the plants look not so great in August. But really what it is we're keeping the roots of these plants cool. And it's keeping the roots of the plants cool that help the plants stay healthy in these hot, dry months. And so people talk about hardscapes and how hardscapes look, things like rock, crushed shale, and that all looks beautiful. It does give a different look for your park strip, but it makes things really flat.
Yeah, it does. Mulch is not going to get nearly as hot because it retains moisture and it will keep your plants from being scorched from below by reflected heat.
Right.
If you want rock, we're not telling you not to use them. just keep that in mind as you plant and select plants that can handle that kind of heat.
So just for fun, we got a measurement of park strip, and this is just a meat thermometer. So, it's not exactly going to be perfect, but it's going to show that it's about 98 degrees here in the sun in these rocks. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and so in the same neighborhood, we're just going to go across the street to that park strip with mulch, and we're going to take the temperature and compare it. So everything else is the same street, same area, same time of day, and let's see what the mulch does.
Yeah.
Okay, and so here we are in the mulch.
And the temperature's been dropping ever since we stuck it in. So we're thinking it's roughly 83 degrees. So that's a significant difference between...
Over a 10-degree difference.
Yeah.
And it is 11 o'clock in the morning. So this difference is only going to get more significant as the day goes on.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about our plant selection. Like you said, the client was looking for a repeating pattern, and we're trying to hit getting blooms all season to help with the bees, the hummingbirds, all of our little friends that enjoy that foliage and the blooms, as well as some contrasting colors, and then things that are, like I said, blooming through the season. So we can start with the things that are going to bloom the first. So in spring.
This is a Nepeta, right? This is a catmint?
Right.
Yeah, and there are probably a couple dozen options to choose from in Nepeta. And you've chosen one here that doesn't grow too large, that fits in the space really well. So when you're deciding, just make sure you look at the sizes that it's going to reach so it doesn't outgrow your space, and just go for it.
That's a good point. So a lot of cities do have requirements on how tall plants can be in a park strip. So you'll want to make sure that you look at your city requirements first before picking your plants. And then you're right, looking at what that mature height is on those plants and making a decision based on that. This catmint is a lower forming, mound forming plant cultivar. And so you're right, it works perfect in with the plant strip and with the restrictions in this city. And so a great choice for spring blooming. And then summer blooming, we go to penstemons. Penstemons are great in park strips, and we picked this particular penstemon because of the contrast in color.
Yeah.
So penstemons bloom over the summer.
Yeah, and this is late summer, so its blooms have died, but it's still a gorgeous plant. The leaves and everything that's left after the blooms are still beautiful. When I pulled up for a second, I thought it was 9-bark from across the street. It has a really nice color to its leaf, so even when it's not in bloom, it's still a great option to enjoy.
Yeah, and a fun thing about penstemon is the reseeding of it. So you can actually take these in the fall when they've dried out and cut them off and reseed around your plant if you're wanting a bigger plant. So help encourage that. And then for our fall blooming, we have goldenrod.
We've got this one here. And these just repeat throughout the garden.
So
the goldenrod is nice because it blooms in the fall. There's not a ton of fall blooming plants, but way more than what you would think.
Yeah.
So you can really pick some things that will help support our little animal friends through the fall before winter hits. And then last but not least is our decorative grass. So the decorative grass is great in Utah.
This is an avalanche. Just looking at the stripes in the grass. So yeah, that's a beautiful choice.
So again, looking at the height, right? We didn't want to get over 2 feet, and I think we're close. A lot of times they'll take the size of the plant before the flower. So if we're looking right there. So, and this just gives some contrast in your park strip in terms of visually pleasing effects.
And it adds movement as well. When the breeze blows, it'll give you some motion.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great point. And getting anything with the long panicles on them will give you some movement in your park strip, which is really fun on those like breezy days.
Yeah, Courtney.
Yeah.
All right, so John has showed you what this all looks like when we're first planting the park strip. And this is where we're at 3 years in. So here's the main line. So just like in the past videos we've talked about, the irrigation is fairly simple with these. You have your main line, and then you either have your drips or soaker or whatever you're doing into your plant. And you can see that even after year 3, you still have access to everything that you would need to if there were any problems with your irrigation, which makes for simple fixes, which saves us money in the long run. So this plant has grown into its irrigation, but initially where we want to put this irrigation in the drip is on the edge of the plant so that its roots are pushing out to get water versus having the irrigation in the middle of the plant. At this point, the irrigation is in the middle of the plant because it's grown so nice and big and healthy, but initially it would have been on the edge of the root ball of this plant to encourage the growth of the roots.
And at this point, it probably doesn't matter so much, but in the beginning, you're trying to encourage that root growth.
Correct. And I would even say at this point, these plants are big enough and they're drought tolerant enough that even if this drip system went out, you would be able to maintain the health of this park strip.
It would take you a long time before you realize the drip system was clogged.
Exactly, yeah.